Hi and welcome back. So in this section we'll be looking at deployment workflow for SSM Document. So how you can integrate it into your pipeline, and I will also look into some requirements for using SSM Document. So let's get started. The two major requirements for using SSM Document or for running SSM command are: one, the EC2 instance profile and SSM agent. So EC2 instance profile needs to be connected to your EC2 instance, and you must install an SSM agent on that instance. Let's look at the EC2 instance profile in more detail. One of the things you will see is from this instance that I have deployed here, I have an IAM role attached to the instance, and by opening that up, we see that IAM role. Well, of course, because I deployed it with Terraform, I didn't specify a name, so Terraform automatically creates the name for me. And then these are some of the policies you need to specify for your instance profile. This is one of those policies that enables SSM on your machine. And then we have this other managed instance core also. And I want to also mention that in most cases I don't use SSH access, but because I have these two policies, I can access the EC2 instance from the console, or by clicking on connect and then clicking on this session manager, and this enables this connect for me. I will discuss that also in more detail later when we are talking about writing your own SSM script. So going back to the IAM role, we also have these CloudWatch agents. In most cases, and most of the time, the CloudWatch agents also works together with the SSM agent to send some information to your instance or to get some metrics from your instance as well. So that is the requirement, the IAM requirement or instance profile requirement for your EC2 instance. So once you have it attached to your EC2 will be able to access S3 to retrieve some information or some files, and your EC2 instance will also be able to run SSM Document, or systems manager will be able to run SSM Documents in your EC2 instance. So that's the requirement. Then the second requirement is SSM Agent. You need to be able to install SSM Agent on your machine. You can follow this instance documentation, this systems manager documentation, to get SSM Agent installed in your machine. And we have documentation for your operating system. Depending on your operating system, you can select any of these documentation and go through it to have the SSM agent activated on your machine. However, I don't install SSM agent or CloudWatch agent on my machine. Why? Because by default, if you use the Amazon Linux 2 image, this particular image, you will have access. It comes pre-installed with SSM agents, CloudWatch agents, and AWS CLI in it. So you don't need to install any of those in your machine if you use the base Amazon Linux 2. There is Amazon Linux, there is Amazon Linux 2. Let me show you Amazon Linux 2. So this is Amazon Linux, and this is 1 but the one you need is these two. So this is Amazon Linux and this is Amazon Linux 2. So you can install this. You just need to specify the image. If you are installing by using a pipeline like I do, or using Terraform in a pipeline, you need to specify this AMI, and the Linux Amazon Linux 2 image will be installed in your EC2 instance, and that way you don't need to install the CloudWatch agent or SSM agent in your machine. So that's my cheat code for that, and most of the time I don't install it, like I said, because I use the Amazon Linux 2 image. So those are the two major requirements. And then let's look at a deployment workflow. So my deployment workflow is done in such that, let's say I'm deploying a Laravel application. What I do is I set up a pipeline to build the Laravel app and zip it and deploy it to a bucket in my S3 environment. The S3 environment is a dedicated bucket that contains only application artifacts. So after deploying that in the S3 environment, I create a SSM document, and the purpose of this SSM document is that it contains scripts with the instruction to go to S3, retrieve the application zip file, deploy it in the instance, extract it and put it in the server directory, and lastly it restarts the server. So that's the instruction in that document. So my deployment workflow starts from having a pipeline that takes my, let's say, Laravel application. It installs the Laravel application, bundle it, zip it and deploy it to her. So all you just need to do is to run the SSM command and your application gets deployed in your EC2 instance. So this is good, especially as a DevOps engineer and you want to automate most of your deployments. You don't want to use Ansible scripts. All you need to do is to create your documents. I do this in Terraform. In subsequent section I will show you how I do this and how I deploy the applications, and also how I execute the command. My command also used to take a parameter. The parameter change depending on the application you are deploying. So it takes a, let's say, a file name parameter to say, okay, this time around and I'm deploying this application name, and the application name, especially if you are the type that runs multiple application in one EC2 instance, you can use the SSM document to specify the application you are currently deploying into the instance, and only that application will be affected anytime you are making your deployment. So the deployment workflow, if you get it, let's recap. The idea is you have a pipeline that runs and package your application, put it in S3, then execute your document to deploy that application in S3 into your EC2 instance. So I think that makes sense, and the advantage is that it allows you to also version your application releases, and then the good thing is it removes Ansible from your life and you don't need to worry about SSH keys or moving SSH keys around. So I hope you got that. Let's meet in the next video where I show you how to really create your own SSM document and how to integrate that in the pipeline and run it from your pipeline. Thank you.